The following video will serve as a brief navigational overview of the IBM OpenPages Regulatory Compliance Management solution. To begin, log in as username RCM and password RCM, all lowercase. Upon logging in, the user will be presented with a dashboard of information that's relevant to the role and profile that they play within the organization. In this case, we're logged in as a regulatory change management user, and we can see information related to specific workflow tasks, regulatory change data, as well as regulatory change actions and source document information. You can also see we have additional portlets down below to allow us to add new regulatory changes or actions, maybe get visibility into summary views by region or location, and even see embedded charts and graphs, as well as links for my favorites and some high-level reporting. The home page is completely configurable by the end user. Simply by clicking on the widget on the right-hand side, you see that this end user has the ability to add any new additional portlets or panels, and these could be charts, graphs, objects, favorites, to be able to add the information that they want to see. The user also has the ability to change the look and feel of any of these portlets. These are all drag and drop. You can simply move this information around as needed to be able to design your home page as you want to see fit. Now, to access any information, the user can simply click on any of the data that they see here on the home page. That may be simply clicking on a number such as all reg changes. That will bring the user directly down to listing of all that information. In this case, we can see we have 42 different regulatory changes that this user is managing. This view happens to be called a grid or list view. And you can see that we have access to some high-level data. And we can even utilize this to filter or sort the capabilities that we want to see. In this case, you can see if I sort by status, it will allow me to see a breakdown of all the information which is listed by status, or similarly looking at overall impact rating as an example. If we click on the filter on the left-hand side, you'll see that the end user now has the ability to come in and look through any predefined or public filters. So for example, if I wanted to access high-impact regulatory changes, you'll see it list 4. I can simply click on that link. It allows me to now access those 4 high-impact regulatory changes. I can also go in and add any new filters. For example, I'll just call this demo filter. It allows me to add any additional fields that I might want to see. So for example, if I wanted to see a breakdown by business unit impacted, I could access that information, as well as get a breakdown of any of the following values to be able to see the data and filter and sort that information directly out. Now, to access any of the detail records, I can simply click on the information. And I'm now brought down to the task focus view, where we can see details about the regulatory change itself. This will include areas such as name and description, maybe type or status of data. And we'll get into this in more detail as we get into the use cases. You'll also see that we have a context view or a tree view. In this case, we can access that information, be able to look at a regulatory change, see if there are any children regulatory actions which are tied to that. Are there any regulations for which this regulatory change has been tied to? And as you click and expand, you have the ability to go down and view further levels of details. If you ever wanted to go directly to some information, simply click on that data. It will show you that on the right-hand side of the screen where you can edit and modify the data as needed in that call-out window. Or simply utilize the Open and Tab, and it will now bring you right down to that regulatory change action. Back on our home page, we can also see that we can access information directly from charts or graphs. So for example, I see a chart down here for regulatory changes by type. If I wanted to access the information for, let's say, formal guidance, I can simply click on that bar, and it will bring me down to the 10 formal guidance regulatory changes that we have access to. Again, I can filter or search to refine that information. And I can even type in the search box here if I'm looking for anything that was maybe related to, let's say, Brexit. I can filter down that information even further. When I click on one of these records again, I'm brought right back down to the regulatory change record, where I can now begin to edit or modify that information. To edit or modify data on any of the records, you can simply click on any of the fields. For example, implementation status, maybe I want to mark this as draft. I could change, for example, formal guidance to something else if I needed to. And you can simply go down and update and edit any of the fields that you see. If there are user fields, for example, like a reviewer, you can simply search through the reviewers or click on a simple name and add that information directly in. If we scroll down, we can also see that we have access to information such as impact analysis data to look at things such as applicability, impact by global systems. We can track key dates, manage regulatory change comments, and even capture source documents by files and attachments. We can also see our regulatory change actions, where we have the ability to add new actions or select or deselect existing actions, and link these regulatory changes to existing regulations and/or internal policies or procedures. We also have the ability in our signature section to add signatures directly to the documents as well. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll notice that we have a section which provides guidance. This guidance will give the end user configurable task view information of what they need to do when looking at a particular page. For example, looking at a regulatory change, the guidance we can see here is to perform an impact assessment, carry out any required tasks, and even update activities as needed. If there are any required fields or recommended key items, we can see those listed below. And simply by clicking on those, we can actually edit and go into edit mode and access any of that data as well, such as applicability. To save any of the information, you can simply click Save and/or Cancel at any point in time, and that will then update the record that you're working on. Returning to our homepage once again, you can see that we also have access to add new regulatory changes. And if we wanted to do that, we can simply click on that link, and that will bring me down to a detail page where we can begin to edit and enter information about a new regulatory change. We'll cover this in more detail in the use case for adding a regulatory change. Finally, you'll see that we have access to a workflow task portlet. At any point in time, as you're routing information through a workflow, such as a regulatory change or an action, the user can be notified directly here on their homepage that they have a workflow task to perform. I can also see a listing of my tasks listed right here as well. In this page, you can see I have the ability to see workflow name, the status, criticality, due dates of the stages. And again, I can access that information directly from that page as well. At any point in time, a user may subscribe to a particular workflow task, and you can see that listed here under subscription if there are any. And they also might have simply oversight roles, where they might not be the owner of a task, but need to be able to see the status of that information. Lastly, we have the ability to generate reports throughout the system. For example, we might want to look at a breakdown of a regulatory compliance summary by region, such as North America. In this case, we can click on that link, be able to see data such as regulatory changes by impact, maybe compliance issues by priority, or even look at things such as compliance themes or ratings and obligation scores. Our tree view will provide us contextual information, such as being able to see all regulatory changes or actions tied to a particular region or location. And if we wanted to drill down to any further level of detail from any of these charts or graphs, we can click on the information and be brought right to the data to be able to see that information as well. That concludes our navigational overview within the IBM OpenPages Regulatory Compliance Management solution. Thank you.